I was born in London in 1962, and in 1965 my family moved to Oxfordshire and then to Cornwall in 1976 to Porthleven, a fishing village near Helston where my mother was born. The years in Cornwall from the age of 14 until I left to go to college were probably quite a formative influence on my painting. It was during that time that I developed an awareness of the artists associated with St Ives, especially Ben Nicholson, Alfred Wallace and Roger Hilton. And I was fortunate enough to meet Terry Frost, Wilhelmina Barnes-Graham, Sandra Blow, Patrick Heron and Rose Hilton, amongst others. So I had an awareness and experience of different artists and creative people from quite an early age. And of course, most crucially, my mother, Daphne McClure, who was an amazing painter and I think one of the most creative people I've ever met. And it was wonderful to have with her the shared interest in painting. But I'm very grateful actually to both my parents for their support and encouragement. My father was a dentist and I most definitely wasn't going to follow in his footsteps, but he was always supportive all the same. Art was my favourite subject at school and I was at my happiest making things, and nothing has really changed. After doing a foundation course at Falmouth School of Art, I completed a BA in Fine Art at Winchester School of Art in 1984. I always needed and need to have a figurative reference. I don't think I've ever really painted a purely abstract painting. I like the place in between pure abstraction and representation. I was lucky enough to start exhibiting fairly soon after leaving art school. At my final show at Chelsea, I was selected to exhibit with the Contemporary Art Society in their annual exhibitions in London. And also William Crozier selected me as Artist of the Day at Angela Flowers Gallery, and that led on to exhibiting with the first gallery I was involved with, Vanessa Devereux Gallery in Blenheim Crescent in London. Newly arrived in London from rural Cornwall, it was an exciting place to be. I have always sought for inspiring motifs and subjects in my surroundings. And now, having returned about 10 years ago to live in Cornwall, I have an amazing landscape to draw and paint at very close quarters. I have become very drawn to the moorland areas of West Penwith, just outside St Ives where I live, and the proximity of cultivated land and the wild land and the farms that are dotted around fascinate me. The farm buildings with their geometric hard forms set into the softer form and textures of the landscape, and also the animals that have formed the land over millennia. Just outside St Ives there are some of the oldest fields in the world that are still being used. As well as landscape subjects, I often visit a bird sanctuary called Paradise Park, and that provides an opportunity to observe birds at first hand. And I quite like going there in the winter when Cornwall can be very grey and misty, and at Paradise Park there's suddenly these wonderful splashes of colour with vivid coloured birds. And I also have always done quite a lot of still life painting. It's a subject, still life objects are a subject that I return to again and again. And again, it offers the opportunity to use a very different palette to landscape. Cornwall, after all, is very green, and I find it difficult not to use green in the landscape paintings. My mother was an extraordinary painter, and she managed to paint Cornwall without ever using green, or hardly ever, which I find quite incredible. Dogs have also become a recurring theme. If I see them when I'm out and about, either in cars or being walked, I'm always on the lookout for maybe an interesting or humorous image. Humour is quite an important element in my work, and I like artists such as Mary Newcomb, who often did paintings with some gentle humour, or again Milton Avery, who, as well as being an amazing colourist, often included a humorous element in some of his work.